Here for reaction to all the left's lawfare, former Trump DOJ official, senior fellow at the Center for Renewing America, and attorney Jeffrey Clark. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Good to be here, Kimberly. Thanks a lot for having me.
It's my pleasure. We had opening arguments today in the New York trial. Let's talk about this first. What stood out to you, and what are sort of your, top line reactions?
Sure. So first, we have the identity of the person who delivered the opening argument in this first lawfare example to come to trial. And then second, we have the substance of what he's trying to sell to the jury. So first, the identity of that person. It's Matthew Colangelo, who left being the acting #3 official at the Justice Department, the Associate Attorney General, to go and work as one of the team members on Alvin Bragg's prosecution team. There's just no way that you move from being at the top of the federal government's Justice Department to being someone who is in a local DA's office unless this is something that goes to the highest levels of the Biden administration. It completely vindicates President Trump saying that this is lawfare and election interference because it's just like reverse career mobility, Kimberly. You don't go from that federal government justice spot to be somebody in a local DA's office unless you want to become a hero, unless you are being sent there and dispatched by Merrick Garland or President Biden or both, or their close underlings. Someone has dispatched Colangelo to do this. It's not the kind of thing that just spontaneously happens. And then in terms of what he focused on, he's trying to sell to the jury the idea that this is election interference by President Trump when he was candidate Trump in the 2016 election. I mean, they have election interference on the brain, and they've emptied the term of all meaning because there's no right to any kind of private information that the electorate has. And so even if you were to grant what it is that they're going to try to establish on the facts using liar Michael Cohen, crooked lawyer Michael Cohen, and Stormy Daniels in a seedy trial like this as true, it doesn't show that there's been any interference with the 2016 election. It just shows that there was an effort to not let private information get out into the media. That's not something that's election interference at all. Instead, what really is election interference is the weaponization of the Justice Department to bring 2 federal cases against President Trump, and the weaponization of 2 state local DAs to bring cases against President Trump. And why did they not bring this case from the Southern District of New York? They declined it. It wasn't brought as an FEC case. It was brought locally in part because they want to try to gin up some kind of conviction that they can say that President Trump can't pardon Kimberly. That's the game that's afoot here, and it's disgraceful. I think they're not even trying to hide it. Otherwise, they would have had Colangelo in the background and not had him lead the charge.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right? Because when you think about this, I mean, this is so blatant. It's so overt, okay? They're literally just Democrat prosecutors, right? Bragg and Colangelo, okay, who came from the Biden Justice Department, as we've discussed. And this Democrat judge, right, who donated to Biden, whose daughter is making a lot of money working for Democrats, supporting them, whipping support and fundraising, it tells you really in very stark reality the whole story. To me, as a former prosecutor, to you as an attorney, to me it feels like just a slap in the face of the justice system, an embarrassment to the legal system.
It is, Kimberly, and I think it's open Marxism. It's open perversion of the justice system. It looks like, the 1935 show trials, except it's American style. It's like a show trial American style. And, Colangelo, bringing this charge, it's an attempt to reformulate the case, right? The case really was always called the hush money case.
Sure.
It was about falsifying business records. But now, magically, on the eve of the trial and at the trial and in the opening statement, it's about 2016 election interference. I mean, they just keep shoveling, their BS at deeper and deeper levels. And I do think the American people sees through it. I don't know, exactly how this jury's going to come out. CNN is putting all kinds of people on to try to shore up this effort. They did make one big mistake, Kimberly. They put a former judge on the Southern District of New York, a federal judge, on CNN with Caitlin Collins, and they asked her about Judge Merchan and his daughter and the whole recusal issue there. And she said, "Look, I looked at the New York statute on this, and if you're within several degrees of consanguinity, in other words, like you're a blood relative of a judge, and you have a financial interest, then that's imputed to the judge, and the judge needs to recuse." We're talking about Judge Merchan's daughter, who's making
Yes.
millions off of attacking President Trump. And so, Caitlin Collins couldn't usher Judge Preska off of the CNN stage fast enough after she said that.
Right. It's like, whoops. Yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
But the truth hurts, and people are just very dishonest. They don't want to face the facts of the reality. If this was the other way, can you just imagine? Just like sit back a second and say, imagine if they were doing this to Barack Obama. Give me a break. It's insanity that they're getting away with it. And I just have to say, they're setting up a trap to fail. But I guess they only care about the immediate outcome. Because when this goes all the way up, on appeal, how can it survive judicial muster?
Yeah, I don't see how, even if they get a conviction here, it's not reversed in multiple dimensions. And I completely agree with you. If the shoe were on the other foot, and these like a naked political attempt to just block a political foe from getting reelected, like somehow, I don't know, we're just in the stage of after first term of Trump or something like that. And sorry, first term of Obama, and then
Obama.
we're watching red state prosecutors go after Obama. CNN, MSNBC would be ginning up and working directly with their Democrat colleagues in Congress to hold constant hearings to line up a future prosecution of those red state prosecutors for engaging in a conspiracy against civil rights and against election rights.
Hmm.
That's really what this, Republican controlled Congress should be doing, right? They should be going after, what's happening on the state level, both in Georgia and in New York, and at the New York State level, not just in the Manhattan level, Kimberly.
Well, sadly, you yourself have been targeted by this lawfare. How do you put this all into, just perspective, covering all of this, having it happen to you? And what do the American people need to know about your story and your journey, what you've been through?
Sure, Kimberly. Well, thanks for asking about that. Look, I think we're in the later stages of a slow motion Marxist takeover, and we have to defeat this lawfare. I also believe we have to get President Trump back into office because they pretend as if they're the people who believe in the neutral application of justice, but they're not providing that either at the state level or at the federal level. Everything is coordinated here, and so look, I've been targeted both in an attempt by the left to take my law license in D.C. Recently, I had a trial about that wrapped up at the start of April. We're soon to be in the process of post-trial briefing, and then there's a multi-stage appellate process essentially that follows that. Then I've also been named as one of the 19 defendants in the Fulton County, Georgia action that Fani Willis brought. And look, one of the things we discovered there is in parallel to what's going on with Matthew Colangelo being dispatched to bring this
Hmm.
case against President Trump in New York City, which is that we discovered two things. Number one, that there are exchanges of documents between Fani Willis's office and the White House counsel's office, the Biden White House counsel's office. And then second, the New York Times even reported on this. Fani Willis asked for permission for my, former DOJ colleagues who, sadly turned their back on President Trump and on trying to investigate the 2020 election. Those folks were they asked for permission. Fani Willis asked for permission for them to come in and testify, and DOJ denied that permission. So we asked for both those sets of documents. Show us what you were talking to the White House counsel's office about.
Yes.
Show us what you were talking to the Justice Department, the Biden Justice Department about. We can't get either of those sets of documents, Kimberly. And
Hmm.
I have to believe that the reason why Fani Willis won't turn them over, if they were innocuous, they would just turn them over to me and to
Exactly.
President Trump and the other defendants. They don't want to turn them over because they show the collusion. They show that the Biden administration is working with Fonnie Willis. And if they don't show that, what they would show is that the federal government is saying, look, you can't, they're protecting their own prerogatives, right? You can't go after senior Justice Department officials like I was. We're immune. And they
Mm.
don't want us to be able to mount that defense either, President Trump, Mark Meadows, or myself. And so, they're holding on to these documents for one of those two sets of reasons, Kimberly.
Oh, you're absolutely right. There is, no innocence here. It's all just, malfeasance. I just want to personally say, I'm sorry that you have been targeted like this and what you've been through. You've been very courageous, very brave. You did an outstanding job serving the president as one of his DOJ officials. And I hope, do you have an open heart and mind to doing it again? Hopefully, when President Trump gets in.
I do, Kimberly. I would, accept a presidential appointment. You don't turn down,
No.
really, in my view, any Republican presidential appointment that would be offered to you. But I would certainly never turn down one that President Trump, who's my
For sure.
favorite, would offer.
Oh, it's very nice. Well, God bless you and your family. Stay strong, my friend. You've done an outstanding job. Hold your head up high. You have a lot to be proud of, and we're certainly proud of you. Thank you so much for taking the time today. It means a lot.
Thank you, Kimberly. That means a lot to me too.